Hello everyone from a sunny, if slightly cold London. I hope it's warmer where you are at the moment. I'm sorry I cannot be with you today, but I believe you have my colleague Nikita with you. I think he's going to be speaking to you at the conference. Police cars just going past, as you can see in London, or you can hear in London. Going to be talking to you about Ballpad and Blueprint corporate secretary software, which I hope you'll find very interesting. My name is Stephen Page. I think some of you may have seen me before. I've been a Chartered Secretary now for probably longer than I can remember, but if you push me, it's over 25 years. I worked in the professional services sector with PwC and have worked with a number of banks in the City of London. I now act as legal counsel for ICSA Software International Limited, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the UK Institute. I'm also director and shareholder of a UK corporate services business, and act as director and corporate secretary for a number of client companies, including at least 2 companies that operate in the Ukraine, I'm pleased to say. You'll see from the slide I'm also the head of CIS for the Institute, and really it's in that capacity that I'm speaking to you now. But enough about me. For the next few minutes or so, I want to give you a quick overview of the Institute in terms of its history, its purpose, how you can qualify, and the benefits that can accrue to members. As you can see, the Institute was formed a long time ago, back in 1891, during the reign of Queen Victoria, I think. The Royal Charter was granted in 1902, which, if my history is correct, is a year after her death. It was at the height, I guess, of the British Empire. Her patron today is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. We have over 36,000 members and a number of students in getting what's probably over 70 countries now. There are 9 divisions, predominantly in British Commonwealth countries, for reasons which you can probably understand. The ICSA aims to be, and many would argue is, the leading professional body in governance, risk and compliance. Its main purpose is to provide professional training leading to the ICSA qualification, currently in the areas of corporate governance, which didn't exist, by the way, when I qualified, law, finance, and corporate administration. Qualification is via the Chartered Secretaries Qualifying Scheme, which was fully revised quite recently back in 2010. It now comprises, or you have to basically sit 8 modules set over 2 levels. Level 1 covers financial reporting and analysis, corporate governance, applied business law and corporate law, as you can see. You'll see as well that this is taught to a 3rd-year undergraduate degree status. Level 2 is a slightly higher status, being set at master's degree level. The 4 subjects here being corporate secretarial practice, financial decision making, strategy, and the Chartered Secretary's Case Study. That last one, Chartered Secretary's Case Study, is actually quite interesting. It was introduced fairly recently in November 2011, and it aims to draw out people's knowledge, one hopes, from sitting the other 7 modules. You receive like a case study prior to the examination. Various questions are asked on the day of the exam on that case study, and you're also given more information as well. So it's a sort of an open and closed book study. There are 4 types of membership. Once you pass all your exams, you become a graduate, and you can use the letters Grad ICSA. Once you've got sufficient experience, which is between 6 and 3 years, you are then an associate member, and you can use the designation ACIS. When you become more experienced, you can then apply for a fellowship. You'll see that there's also a grade here, which is quite interesting, called an affiliate. Actually, it's not a grade, as I've made the point here. It's really it's a status that people can have. They pay a relatively nominal sum, and for that they can become a member of the Institute. They can't use any letters. It's really for people that don't necessarily wish to study for the scheme, but are nonetheless working as corporate secretaries. If you don't want to sit the full examination, there are some options. You can sit certificates, as you can see here, employee share plans, share registration, corporate secretaryship, More recently, they've introduced a scheme, as you can see, a certificate or a diploma at a slightly high level in offshore finance and admin, and you can use certain letters after your name if you pass these exams. Very recently, they've introduced a route for suitably qualified lawyers and accountants. They can now become chartered secretaries, providing they have 5 years qualifying experience. They only need to sit 2 of the 8 modules, being corporate secretary practice and the case study that I referred to previously. Once you're a student, you get access to certain resources on the website. There's a number of publications specifically targeted at the various modules. You receive a magazine each month, both in soft copy and hard copy form. There's weekly newsletters, and there's discounts on conferences and such like. Once you're a member, additional benefits, well, of course, you get the professional identity. There's also a technical support and helpline. As Nikita will be explaining later on, there's also some software, which is very useful and have access to, which is Ballpad and Blueprint One World. There are numerous publications. You can see here training courses, conferences. I'll just point the item at the bottom there is a board evaluation or board performance evaluation unit. ICSA has its own dedicated team for providing external board evaluations, and it also has a recruitment arm, which might be of interest to certain people as well. There's a number of special interest groups. I've just listed 2 here, the registrars and the company secretaries group. I belong to the company secretaries group, and it's a very useful membership for me personally. A couple of years ago, like many institutes, ICSA introduced a compulsory continuing professional development requirement. It's point-based. Key thing is you need to have a minimum of 20 hours formal or informal development during the course of any 1 year. So I think that's fairly standard now for most professional institutes. Lastly, I just want to talk about policy role of the Institute. It's fairly recently issued a board effectiveness guide, which has been very well received. It was mandated by a government body to produce that and work with the industry to get that into practice. It's now required to be followed by companies that are listed or have a primary listing on the UK London Stock Exchange. So it's a very high-profile guide that's been issued by the Institute. In addition to that, it also issues a number of guidance notes, which are relatively well received, and there's also consultations with industry and government. Thank you for listening to me. It's been a whirlwind tour, if you will, of the Institute. It's been around now for over 120 years, and I've probably covered it in less than 5 or 10 minutes. If you have any questions, please do speak to Nikita or those who are running this conference, and I'll be very happy to speak to you later on. Thank you very much for listening to me.